Hey guys, today I want to go into how to get out of this place of stress and anxiety and overwhelm that's so pervasive in our world today. That's really the wound that we've had for the last thousands of years um, has been an imbalance where we had this heavy mental masculine trying to control type of energy, trying to control our, and this isn't just about men, there's women who have the same wound. We all share the same wounds, which is this heavy masculine mental trying to control everything externally when that's not possible. We only have internal control, and we have to allow and surrender and realize that our control is internal. um and that's really like hardened our hearts a lot, because we've been trying to think our way and plan our way into safety, into success, into good things. But good things don't come from just thinking alone, or just planning alone, or worrying or stressing or being overwhelmed or any of that. um and so we need to find balance, and the balance is through reconnecting with our feminine energy, learning to surrender to the external stuff, realize that what is what is, and it's a product of our internal state of being and what it has been. And if we want that external reflection to change, we have to change the internal. But this is very difficult to do when our minds are trained into stress and overwhelm and anxiety and overthinking. And it can be, we lack clarity, really. And all this anxiety really is fear. That's what anxiety is. It's fear. It is fear of the unknown, fear of ourselves, fear of not knowing who we are or how reality works, or what's going to happen tomorrow, or what's around that corner, or is that person dangerous? Can this person be trusted? See, all this overthinking, all this stuff. The thinking creates problems that don't exist yet. It creates something that's not there, And eventually, if we do this enough, and our general vibration, which is our state of being, the way we feel, is our vibration in any moment. If what we give off so much is fear, think about what kind of reality we're creating moving forward. It's going to be one based in fear and stress at a lower vibration. It's not going to be the good stuff that we want to experience. It's not going to be fun. It's going to be stressful. It's going to be difficult. It's going to be hard and challenging and terrifying and all these things. But we do have a choice, and we can change our timeline. We can change our trajectory. But all of that starts with an internal change. So let's start with the mind anxiety. It really does come down to overthinking. It comes down to not being present in the moment, which is the only time that ever exists, is right now. The only place that exists is right here. So right here and now is all that exists for you ever in eternity. Right here, right now, the eternal now. But we live our lives where we put so much focus on the past. What happened? Did this person think this, or did they mean that? Or, did I do the right thing there? Was I good? Was I bad? Was I, how can I change that? Oh, I can't change it. It already happened. And then, or all this stress and worry in the future of what's going to come, because we don't know what's going to come. And we think that the unknown is scary or bad or going to hurt us in some way. And we don't realize how we are in the present ultimately affects the future, which also affects our past. But if we're always focused on the past, it will decide the future. If we're always focused on the future in a worrisome way, then we just keep repeating as well. What we need to do is learn to be present and learn to trust the unknown. Now, this is easier said than done, but we really have to understand the nervous system, because the nervous system is key to our state of being and key to our ability to control our state of being. And the beautiful thing is, you can control the state of your nervous system through breathing alone. Breathing really is the key to your state of being. And that's why the breath of life, has been so profound in spiritual teachings and stuff like that, because it does determine the state of your being. And so we have the sympathetic nervous system, the state of being in the sympathetic nervous system, which is attached to the fight or flight response. So it's very easy to go into fight or flight if your mind is not managed well. If there's stress, if there's anxiety, if there's fear, that will trigger the fight or flight response if you're in the sympathetic nervous state of being, which is shallow breathing, right? A lot of chest breathing, not deep breathing. A lot of chest, shallow breathing, and we're in our heads a lot. This is the sympathetic nervous system and the state of being in that. What we want to get to more frequently is the parasympathetic nervous system, that state of being, which is also known as the rest and digest state of being, meaning your body can come to rest. It can slow down. The mental processing can slow down. The digestion can be more efficient, more relaxed, because you're not so tight and tense. In the sympathetic nervous state, your nervous system is more restricted. It's tighter. In the parasympathetic nervous system, it loosens up. It's more flexible. It's more malleable. It's more relaxed. You're not so tight. You're not in as much pain. And to get there, you can get there, again, through breathing alone, by taking deep breaths. Just put your awareness, put your focus on the lower part of your abdomen, around your belly button, around your navel. Bless me. Around your navel. And just focus on taking a deep breath in there. And now, if you're stressed, it might be hard to get a deep breath. It might be hard. But there are ways to calm yourself down, even if it's difficult to get a breath. There are somatic taps, different things you could do, tapping different parts of the body and talking about what's stressing you out, talking about what you're afraid of, and dealing with that, and then coming through and doing the taps again with a more solution-based thought process of what would it look like if there was a solution to what's bothering me and stressing me out now. And all we're doing with this is really bringing ourselves into the body, right? That's what the taps are doing. It's bringing ourselves into the body, not so much just in mental energy and focus, but back into the body, feeling our body in certain points, and ultimately bringing awareness to what's bothering us. We're not avoiding that thought process. We're not trying to ignore it. We're bringing awareness to it. And bringing awareness to anything is what can heal it, what can solve it, is awareness. And so doing something like that, and there are many different methods that you can use, whatever you like, whatever you think, to get you back into the body. You could do some jumping jacks, some push-ups, some sit-ups, some walking around, just something to get you feeling more in the body, less in your head, and then try and take some deep breaths. And from there, you'll find that it is much easier. And it may still be difficult, but remember, if you've been very stressed and overwhelmed and in anxiety for a long time, breathing is going to be more restricted at first because you're so used to just chest breathing, and things might be really tight just in your chest. You might feel like rib cage pain and stuff like that. Like if you push on certain places around your body, around your rib cage, you're probably going to feel some pain. It's because of that tension, that tightness, and that restricted breathing. But as you do more deep breaths into the abdomen, and make time for it throughout the day. You don't have to do it all day long. All right. It's hard to focus on other things and your breath at the same time. It's also why focusing on the breath is so clearing for the mind, because if you're really focused on the breath, you cannot really focus on anything else, especially if you're not used to focusing on the breath. So breathing is so powerful, and taking deep breaths, just doing, maybe some box breathing, inhale for 4, hold for 4, exhale for 4, a count of 4, and do this 5 times, 10 times. You'll find that your state of being calms down. You'll find that your mind kind of slows down. You'll feel that your heart rate slows down, and you'll feel more relaxed. You'll feel more settled. If something was hurting or bothering you, it may not hurt as much. It's because your nervous system has switched states of being from this tense, very alert state of being, which is the sympathetic state, to the parasympathetic, which is much more relaxed, at ease, in the body, less in the head. And if you commit to this process, commit to breathing every day, conscious breathing into the belly every day, multiple times a day. If you start to simply just notice when your mind's going crazy, start to observe it, start to recognize that you are separate from this mind that's running all the time. And how could you be separate? Because you can observe it, because you can actually listen to it. You can watch it. It'll be thinking without you consciously choosing to think. And that's because the mind likes to think, but you are the observer. You're the witness to the mind. And at the same time, you're also supposed to be the commander of the mind, but we have not been taught how to manage our minds and heal our minds. But this process of getting more into the sympathetic state, becoming more peaceful, you can't go from this survival mode, this anxiety, overwhelm state of being, straight into thriving, right? There has to be a process of slowing the mind down. And that's why you have to tap into your inner peace. You have the ability to tap into your inner peace at any time. Anytime. Once you learn how to do it. And that has a lot to do with getting into the parasympathetic nervous system. It has a lot to do with practicing observing the mind. It has a lot to do with breathing. And you'll find that as you commit to those few things throughout your day, to realize your state of being, your well-being, your inner peace is more important than all the other external bullshit, all the other to-do lists and the phone calls and the emails and the text messages it's more important to be in a place where you can respond to life how you choose to, rather than reacting out of stress and fear and worry and doubt. And so we have to practice getting into this peaceful place, this inner peace, this place where nothing else really matters at this particular moment. Things can matter again in the next moment if they need to. They can matter again later. It's okay. But in this moment, you could say, nothing else matters except my peace. And that's not selfish. It's not wrong. After all, how can you really help anyone if you're in this place of fear and panic and stress? If you're yelling at people, if you're reacting to people, if you're screaming at people, if you're over there crying in the corner because you're so overwhelmed and you don't know what to do. And not that there's anything wrong with any of these things, because we're in a process of learning how to be human and how to thrive in a world where things are busy and there are so many distractions and things you could put your focus on. and realizing that you haven't really learned how to just focus on one thing, or you've sort of forgotten how to do that. And so your attention's going all over the place, and that's why you feel so anxious and stressed, is because putting your focus on one thing feels impossible. And that's why we have such issues with like ADHD and stuff. But ADHD isn't really a thing. It's a consequence of the way that we have lived and the way that we've learned to cope and manage our minds in an unhealthy way. And this can become like a superpower at a certain point, but you have to learn how to focus again. Because when you can focus just singularly, just for a moment, and go moment to moment, shifting your focus as necessary, as you choose to, it becomes sort of a hyper focus, and you're so sensitive to what's going on in your environment when you slow down and when you stop trying to attach to like 5 different things at once. Instead, you're just focused on yourself and your well-being, and you move from what's in front of you to the next thing that's in front of you to the next thing, and it's okay and it's peaceful. RJ Spina, who really is like a master of the mind, I highly recommend listening to him speak about the mind and the ego and mental creation and all that stuff. But he talks about how who we really are is meditation. And meditation isn't trying to do anything. Meditation isn't sitting there in the quiet trying to silence the mind, trying to force something, trying to accomplish anything. Meditation is simply being, existing in the moment. Not thinking about the past, not worrying about the future, just being here, now. And it doesn't matter if your eyes are closed or open. It doesn't matter if you're doing something with your hands. You can be meditation while working. I do it at work all the time. I'll be prepping food or whatever, and I'll just be peaceful. I've done this task many times. I don't have to really think about it, and I'll just be sitting there, breathing, peaceful, moving my hands, focused on the one thing. Sometimes I can think about something for fun, and it's just peaceful. It's not overwhelming. I'm still breathing. I'm still relaxed. And then when things do get more chaotic and busy, yeah, I'm not always in that state. I go into the sympathetic nervous system, and my breathing isn't as deep, and my mind is moving more quickly, but it's because I'm more alert. So I'm still present, but I'm more alert. So it's not bad to be in the sympathetic nervous system. You can be more alert. You could do more things. It is necessary. It's there for a purpose. But when it's in an extreme, used to an extreme, and you're in that state all the time, that's when we become very anxious and nervous and fearful and always in this kind of survival mode state of being. And then when after a full day of that, you can't help but sit and just veg out at the TV or whatever and pass out because you have no energy left. You have no mental energy left. You used it up all day. And so it's really important to teach yourself how to get into this peaceful place. If you can get into a peaceful state of being, and you can, anytime you want to, and you can learn how to, that is when you can heal the mind. And healing the mind from this place is so much easier than trying to do it while it's chaotic and stressful and noisy. So you have to practice breathing, presence, and observing. In a way, you're detaching from the mind and from the feelings, the emotions. You're just allowing them, and you're allowing the mind, and you're just observing. And you learn how to get into this peaceful place, to not react to the mind immediately, to allow the mind to have a thought, and you don't have to react to it. It's just a thought. Just a thought that the mind has been programmed to think. And because in the past you energized it by giving it so much focus and making it seem like it's this big deal, it became more powerful. It became energized. And so to de-energize it, the thoughts are still going to come up. You just have to stop giving them so much power, so much focus. Stop connecting your emotions to it. Just allow it to be a thought that's here now, and then let it pass. And realize that the more often you do that, the less energized it becomes, and eventually it just doesn't happen anymore, or very, very rarely. And so there's nothing to do except observe and rest and breathe. And from this peaceful place, that's where you'll really be able to heal the mind and relax and rest, finally really rest. Because let me tell you, living with that anxiety for years, you need a lot of rest. You need to rest. Your body needs rest. Your mind needs rest. Your nervous system needs rest. It needs to heal. And if you really focus on your inner peace for an extended period of time, several months, you'll find that eventually you can go back into the world and start putting more focus on other things, because the mind is calmed down, because the nervous system is calmed down, because you're more present, you're more self-aware, your consciousness has expanded. And from this expanded place, there's room for more stuff, more activities, more things, higher states of being. But you have to have that foundation of peace first. If you have no peace, you can't change anything. You can't heal anything without peace. You need peace, because what's keeping things so stressful and so difficult in your mind and in your body, with the pain and the tightness and everything, is this constant war you're having with the mind. It's a battle. It's a war ground, you know? And until you can get the state of peace down for yourself, whatever that looks like, however that works for you, until you can make that a regular thing that you could tap into pretty much any time, regardless of what's going on around you, it'll be very difficult to heal anything, because your body and your energy will be fighting with each other all the time. And that's just going to perpetuate more of the same. So you follow these types of practices, whatever works for you. It doesn't have to be exactly the way I did it, but by becoming aware of my thoughts, allowing my feelings, focusing more on my breath, like even while I was just driving around, I would just do some box breathing, you know? I would just focus on my breath. Eventually I was doing like an inhale of 4, hold for 7, exhale for 8, just to really slow things down. And then that way I was only doing like 3 breaths a minute, you know? And when you do that, your heart rate really slows, your mental processing slows down, everything relaxes. And then driving around, I'm just peaceful. And take actions towards your peace. For me, driving and listening to music is super peaceful. I love doing that. Maybe driving is stressful for you, so don't do that. But going out in nature is really peaceful. Going for a walk in nature and by yourself, it's beautiful, it's wonderful. Reading a book, just singularly focusing, and not a book that's crazy and everybody's dying all the time, like something nice, something peaceful to the mind, right? It could be something that's like, you know, something helpful or something interesting, just something that you're interested in, you know? There's lots of different things you could do. Maybe you like doing crafts, maybe you like drawing, maybe you like painting, maybe you like whatever, you know, anything that can just slow things down and you could just breathe and be peaceful, taking actions towards something that you're peaceful at, that your heart's just happy to do, that will shift your timeline even faster. And that's what we're trying to do, is we're trying to shift from this lower vibrational reality that we've been experiencing that's produced a certain external reality and a certain mental reality. And we want to shift to something better, something higher. And it starts with peace. To go from this low place, you have to get to a peaceful place. And then from a peaceful place, you can start to create something exciting. Because this is just a big playground. But we got to heal if we want to actually enjoy it. We have to heal. We have to make our healing important. But by doing this, you change everything. You change your whole life. You shift to something wonderful. And eventually, the external reality catches up with the internal state of being. And you meet wonderful people, and you guys have shared interests and stories and purpose and goals and things to do, and everything changes, because this life really is about connection. But we have to start with the connection to self. And if we're not so loving towards ourselves, if there's an internal battle going on all the time, we've got to heal that. And when we heal that, everything else will follow. I hope this video helped. It would mean the world to me if you guys liked and subscribed. Appreciate that. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Much love.